Hey, how's it going? My name is Benji and welcome back to my channel. Today's video we're going to do what I hinted at in the last video, which is where we're going to pull back from looking at one guitar pedal and we're going to just kind of talk a little bit about my entire rig that I'm using with this indie band that I've started playing with. So I really hope that you enjoy what's about to come. I just want to jump right on into it, but as always, I got one or two disclaimers for you. First things first, I just want to let you know, if you're just starting out or if you look at this and you think it's excessive, I know. It is overkill. I'm probably putting that in the title of the video. This is not a rig that you go out and buy in a day or in a month or in a year. These are things that I've built up over the past 8 or 9 years of playing live shows and playing with bands and buying and selling guitar pedals. So you don't need to think that you need all of these pedals. You probably could do just as good of a job, if not potentially a better job, with half the pedals, cheaper amp, cheaper guitar. These are just things that I've acquired through my life. So just putting that out there, don't think you need all of this. Secondly, last time I talked all about how I joined a new band and everything was exciting, and I never talked about the band. So I'm going to correct that now. I'm playing with an artist named Leonard. She is a wonderful local artist. She has been doing some music for the past couple years, and she was looking for some new band members, switching things up, trying out new things, and so I joined the band, and it's been really fun. We've got some shows coming up, so if you're in the Richmond area, I'm going to leave all of her links and everything in the description so you can see when those are, come out and watch us play. It should be a great time. Enough of that, let's get into the gear. So the first thing that I will talk about is my Fender Hot Rod Deluxe amp. If you're a fan of the channel, you know this amp because it's been around forever. My first video was me cranking this amp to 10, throwing it in a closet and seeing what sounds I could get out of it. Now that does actually kind of relate to what I'm doing right now with the sound. I have a JHS little black amp box in the effects loop of my amplifier. That gives me the opportunity to use the little black amp box as a master volume and to turn up the preamp volume on my amplifier without blowing my ears out. So I actually have this amp set to right under breakup. So with these guitars that I'll be playing with, it's not really going to hit that breakup point. It's not really going to overdrive. It'll just compress a little bit. Now, if I threw in some humbucker guitars, totally different story. This thing would be screaming and it would sound like AC/DC or something like that. But right now, since I'm using single coils, it's just a little bit compressed, a little bit right on the edge of something happening, which to me is a sweet spot. Speaking of single coils, let's talk about the guitars. This will be my main guitar. This is my Fender Jaguar. I've had this for years. It is great. It was not great when I bought it, but I've spent so much time and so much work and put so much goddamn money into this guitar that it has ended up basically gluing itself to me. And if the house catches on fire, this is, if not the only guitar I'm grabbing, one of the guitars I'm grabbing. Now, because I am me and I have built up a lot of gear over the years, I do also have a backup guitar that I will be talking about a little bit later. It is one of these, a J Mascis Jazzmaster. I'll get into it a little bit more as we get into the sound. We'll see if this sticks around. There's some things that I really like about it, and I haven't played it enough to know the things I don't like about it. So we're gonna find that out over the next couple months, so maybe this will stay in rotation, maybe it'll move out. For now, it's great. All right, so here is just a clean guitar into the amplifier sound. I don't have any reverb in on the amp because I'm getting all my reverb from pedals. You'll see why. I'm doing some stacking things, doing some interesting things, and I just wanna have that control at my feet as opposed to having to walk back towards the amp. So here's a clean sound. So let's jump into the core sounds of the board. So instead of kind of going individually piece by piece or going in an order, I'm just going to turn on the pedals as I would play them live, talk a little bit about the sounds that I like, and then start expanding out from there to touch on the pedals that I might not have talked about. So my clean sound is always going to have a Strymon Blue Sky doing a spring reverb sound with a little bit of some different things. I believe I set it up on a preset where I have modulation happening a little bit. I have a little bit of tone sculpting just to make it work for me and what I like. And then I'm also always going to have the Copper Sounds pedals Kingpin on. So this is my actual clean sound, my core sound that I'm going to be using for every song in the set, no matter what. Probably the next most used pedal on the board is going to be the Strymon El Capistan. This pedal is famous for what it does for a reason. It's the best digital tape delay that you can buy. Everyone says it. I agree with everyone. It's amazing. I have it set up right now so there's a little bit of darkness coming in, a little bit of saturation on the repeats, just so that when I do swells, it doesn't stand out and it kind of stays warm. Speaking of swells, let's talk about what I do for that. This here is the Keeley Compressor, and it's probably the best compressor you can buy. I know there are a lot of really great, really fully featured compressors out there. I don't think you can go wrong with a compressor where the best sound is all the knobs turned to noon. It just works. Now, I use the compressor for kind of two different sounds. So one of those sounds is going to be a swell sound, where I have a compressor on before my volume pedal. It kind of glues everything together so that when you swell into the note with that volume pedal, you end up having a very consistent sound. So another sound that I'll use the compressor for, which is just the same settings, but instead of swelling into the note, I'll just play as I would regularly. Now, what it does is, because it's not a super strong compression, but there is a fair amount of audible compression, you put that before an overdrive, and you get the sound of a tube amp that is on the edge. It is roaring. It sounds like it's loud because it gives you a same feeling that you do when you turn up an amplifier super loud, and there's power amp tubes that are starting to really kind of react to how you play. They give a kind of squishy compression. So putting a compressor in front of a kind of squishy overdrive pedal creates a really great sound. Probably the next most common used on this board is going to be the Keeley Fuzzbender. This is a really cool fuzz for a couple reasons. One, it's just a great tone bender style fuzz, but it's also a little bit flexible with that EQ. So as you can see, I'm pushing a little bit more in the bass and treble just to kind of push the front end just a little bit more. I actually have the fuzz set to a pretty conservative halfway point, which on this guitar gets you right up to the edge of out of control sounds, but you can also roll off. And since there's not too much happening in the circuit there, even though it is a tone bender style fuzz, you can get some really cool cleanup out of it. I'll either use it that way or I'll use it with my volume rolled down to just do a little bit of interesting tone shaping, get a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more saturation, and a little bit more punch out of a cleaner drive sound. Next, most often, I'm probably going to be using the Walrus Julia because there's lots of really washed out vibrato parts in these songs, and it does that really well. It creates this really lo-fi, slurpy, kind of gross sound, which I absolutely love. So the last two pedals that I'm going to talk about today are the Keeley Loomer and the Boss Super Overdrive. So I'm going to talk about the Boss Super Overdrive first because there's less to say about it. This is one of those pedals that's in a spot that I kind of like to try things out in. The 1981 Devices level was in here for a while. It might go back there, frankly. It's just a little bit better for this band. But I've been having a lot of fun just kind of when I'm jamming at home, having a little bit more of a mid-focus bluesy sound. But that's really not what this band is for. So just a little sample of how I've been using it though. Next, the Keeley Loomer. I actually do use this in the set. There's one song where we get a little bit shoegazy, so I'll take one of the reverb modes. Usually it's the reverse mode, but in this case I've been trying out the soft focus mode with a little bit of a higher decay, high blend. And if you hear there's some crackling, that's because I'm running it into the front of the Kingpin. So I'm getting a lot of really cool sounds running it into the front of that pedal. Then what I do is internally, I'm also having the reverb run into the fuzz. So I'm running reverb into fuzz, into Kingpin, into delay, into more reverb. It's a big sound. It's very shoegaze. And what I will do is I will turn that fuzz on and I will play something like this. That's one of the few moments in the set where my guitar part feels appropriate to be a little bit more forward focused, and so it's just a fun sound, but it's for a chorus of one song. So that's about all I use that for. Let's get some quick sounds out of this guitar just to show you kind of the differences between the two. This one's definitely a little hotter on the output. It's definitely got a lot more low end. So this would probably be used for a song where I need a little bit more of a present sound. There's one or two that I have in mind, but it's actually a pretty new guitar to me, so I haven't quite figured out where it's going to fit in the set, so right now it's kind of sitting as a backup. impressive job of holding its tune while I play with the tremolo, so that's something that I really like. Not bad. Not bad. All right, so that's a full rundown of my rig as it is. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. I love talking about pedals. I love talking about guitars. If you're more into the electronic music camp, if you're more into the techno camp, I know this has been a departure. I might do 1 or 2 more guitar-related videos, but hopefully I'll be back to at least streaming regularly, doing electronic music, and hopefully talking a little bit more about cool things on the modular, cool things on some of these other boxes. I've been working around trying to really find my sound in the set again, because I kind of feel like I lost it. So it really means a lot to me that people would stick around and still watch some of these videos, even though it's not what the channel was originally designed around. If you did like this video, definitely let me know in the comments. Also, while you're down there, make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, follow along. If you like this, I might do some more guitar-related videos. If you don't, let me know in the comments. I'll go back to more synthesizer-related stuff, but it's just been fun to do something a little different, do something I'm really comfortable with, because I've been playing guitar for years, so I just want to say I appreciate the time that you've spent here, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.